what's up you guys, the Curious Owl here, and today I'm going to be sharing my thoughts with you on the book Blood Magic by Danielle Rose. I don't know if you guys can see that very well because of this awful glare. This is the second book in the Blood Books trilogy by Danielle Rose, a series from Off Tones Publishing. This was my September TBR pick for the month, but I didn't end up finishing it in September, so I finished it in October. And I gotta say, I think this was probably one of my favorite secondary books within a trilogy, but definitely had its own problems, and I think that it comes down a lot of it to pacing. And unfortunately, with a lot of Off Tones Publishing books that I've noticed, the pacing is one thing I always have a comment on. Part of the problem is that the books are so short that it makes it very hard to have the reader be super in-depth with the story, and then because of the shortness, the pacing is very quick, and it makes it way hard for a reader to really grasp at some of the finer details of the story, as opposed to if this was maybe a 400, maybe 500 page book. So to keep myself from having a sore arm later, I am going to start showing the actual picture of the novel here, and I'm going to put my iPad down because half the time you probably won't be even able to see this. So to start off with some of the things that I really did like about Blood Magic was that I think that the characters definitely have remained consistent throughout the book. It's not that they've really changed much throughout that, and I think the biggest part of it is that this book takes place right after the first one, where the vampire coven that Ava is a part of is trying to find the mistress of the coven, as she has been taken off by the rogue vampires. And if you would like to hear some of my thoughts on the first book, you can go ahead and check that out down in the description below, as I will talk a lot about kind of the setup for this novel, and this will have a lot of spoiler-free content because of the fact this is the second book in the series. Another thing I really did like, though, was that again, going back to the idea of consistency, is that the plot was consistent. There wasn't really anything that was questionable. Everything from the first book was kind of relayed early in this book and made it easier for me, after not having read the books for about a year or so, to get back into this world and understand the stakes and what's going on and what Ava has to do. Along with that, though, there is a lot of progression with Ava as a character because of the fact that she's now understanding that she has all these new powers with being a hybrid, and this character Sebastian comes in and is going to mentor her and help her to understand how to be a hybrid and kind of what she is and is not able to do as a hybrid, and how she can continue to help her coven get back her mistress and flourish as a hybrid within this community. I will say there is a love triangle within this story, and I was actually surprised that I liked it as much as I did, because I thought that at first it was kind of just corny that it was there, but the more that the story kind of went on, I really did like the way that the love triangle was set up. And the only thing I would say that I didn't like about it was that it kind of didn't have a lot of room to grow. Part of the problem, I think, with the pacing was that this half of the relationship that's going on, that's fairly new and is developing, did not get as much time to really grow as I think the first half of the love triangle was developed in the first book. And I just felt like it was very rushed, and it almost was kind of like added in there just to be there. And I think that if this book would have been a lot longer, it definitely would have drawn out that relationship a little bit more and given the reader more of a reason to understand why these characters are attracted to each other, and what is it specifically about the way that Ava feels about this character that gives her the reasoning to even think about being with them in the first place. Again, I feel like the biggest problem I have with this is just the overall pacing of the novel. And this is something I've noticed a lot with Off Tones Publishing. I really do like a lot of the books that this company has put out with, but I do think that they stick to novels that they can shorten down to as small as they can to make the most sense, but they don't give these books a chance to really flourish and become full-fledged novels. And I think that part of it may be because they are a smaller company, to where they can't put out a lot of stuff like that are bigger stories because it's a lot more money and that they don't have, which I really understand from a college student standpoint. Like, money is a really tough thing to come by a lot of times when you don't have a lot of it, and especially when you're a smaller publishing company just trying to get to a point where you're sustaining yourself. I understand that that's something you have to do, but I do hope that in the future, if Off Tones starts to become a little bit more of a commercial success and they start to become a little bit more well-to-do than they are now, hopefully they can continue to push out books, but make them to the point where they actually are starting to become full-fledged novels. And I think part of the problem that I see with them is just this fact that there's not a lot that is able to be seen from any of these novels. And while I like them all in their own sense, I just feel like they don't take a lot of the time to flesh out characters, flesh out worlds, flesh out plots. I just want more from them, basically, is what I'm trying to say. But overall, those are all the thoughts that I can really divulge about this book without getting too spoilery with it. So if you guys have read this series at all, or you've read Blood Magic, please let me know down in the comments below with your thoughts on it. If you guys did enjoy this video, please do give it a big thumbs up. And if you're not already and you'd like to be, hit that button down below and subscribe to become an owlet in our flock. And I will see all of you guys in my next video. Bye, guys.